Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be touching on a very important topic, which is what are the golden rules, the golden standards, the minimum expectations that players should have before they consider committing, not joining, but committing to jumper projects, and even by a smaller degree before committing to migrating the kingdoms. Now, some of the points that I'm going to talk about, there's about 13, 14 points here that we're going to touch on that I believe to be minimum expectations and gold standards in what every single jump project should implement in order to be considered a quality project at minimum, right? To pass if you want to get, you know, BN's accreditation of jump projects or to do things that are going to give your project higher chances of success. And so we're going to cover all of those today. Some of them will and could extend to kingdoms, but we're mainly going to be focusing on jump projects. So before we get started, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description down below. Okay, so number one is going to be have 6 alliances minimum. If your project does not have 6 alliances minimum, or you are a player looking for a project that does not have 6 alliances minimum, do not join. Specifically, and I'm going to put an asterisk here as well, it also depends on what that project's goals are and what you as a player want out of it. The reason I say this is because most jump projects that have multiple alliances are typically, and this is even the case if you only have 1 or 2 alliances, most projects want to have a majority presence or majority control in a kingdom. Usually that is the primary reason why you're doing a project. It's to go into a kingdom because you want to build it in your image. That is pretty much the entire purpose, right? For anyone that is doing a project, if you're going in as 1 or 2 alliances and your goal is just to be the top alliance or the top 2 alliances and you guys or whomever think you're just going to run the kingdom that way, I mean, okay, those are lower percentage odds. I like to play higher percentage odds. So that's why I say you run 6 alliances minimum. And what you do is you put, the reason why is because you have 6 Zone 1 provinces. So you put 1 alliance in each province, and it allows for 2 of the most important things to happen. One, it puts an ear, right, in each province, so you can have a higher chance of knowing what's going on, having your finger on the pulse, if you will. And then number 2, it allows for you to have a foothold in each of the provinces so you can lend support immediately and make these transitions if and when necessary, right? So again, those are the 2 most important reasons why you would need to have 6 alliances minimum. And that's why, as a player, my recommendation is to look for projects that at least have that. Number 2, do not spend money until you have made it to Final Kingdom. This is the time when you then should assess. This doesn't mean that you wait until Final Kingdom to start spending a bunch of money. What it means is that you should not spend money until you get to Final Kingdom, because once you get to Final Kingdom, that is when you should take the opportunity to start assessing and paying attention throughout the entire jump, and then start figuring out, okay, hey, how does the kingdom look now, right? Usually you might want to give it a week or 2 to just see how things are playing out before you potentially consider dropping a lot of money. I would argue do not spend during the jump prep. Wait until, or the first kingdom, wait until you get to final. If you want to spend a little bit of money as far as what you are, I don't want to say tolerable, but what you are okay with spending in the event that the kingdom just doesn't go good, right? Or you end up having to restart. That's kind of how you have to look at it. Wait until you start seeing good signs of things happening consistently, and then decide if you want to spend. But at bare minimum, do not spend anything until you get to Final Kingdom, because you do not want to be in a position where things do not go well and you've dropped a bunch of money on your jumper and now you're committed, right? I can't tell you how many times I see that happen to players where they're new to the game, they're interested in spending, they just have a poor jumping experience, and now they don't want to restart. They're just going to play it out, and they're just miserable. Number 3, join multiple projects. The reason I say this is that you want, as a player, to join multiple projects to compare. You want to be able to join a bunch of projects, hang out in those projects for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and assess, analyze, pay attention. What is happening? How are the announcements? How does the server look? How is it set up? Do they have informative channels? Are they giving good information? Do they have good resources? How do some of the chats look? Is there even just a minimum level of activity, right? And there's an asterisk there because it really just depends on when that, like an example would be if you join a project and they're not looking to jump for 2 months, chat's probably not going to be that active. If you join a project and they're going to jump in 7 days, chat's probably going to be more active, right? So again, take that with a grain of salt. I don't really bet, I don't put, stock in people that join projects and the chat is barely active and then they just say, oh, well, yeah, this project is worthless. I don't look at it like that. I would rather stay in a project for a few weeks and just see how it plays out, right? And also look at how they're set up, how they're organized, because that to me speaks more volumes than do they have 200 messages a day happening in one chat. But that is just me. Number 4, if a project says that they have whales confirmed, I don't want to go as far as saying they're lying, even though that's the easiest thing to say. What I will say is that it is irresponsible of any player who says that they have players in their project that are confirmed that they will be spending money. There are no guarantees that someone who claims to be a whale, who claims that they're going to spend money, will spend. The only thing that actually confirms or guarantees that they're going to spend money is when you actually see it happening. When you see those chests being purchased in the alliance. When you see their power skyrocketing same day or across a few days, right? When they're gaining, if it's the beginning of a kingdom, if they're gaining 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, right, across a week or a couple days. These are signs that they are spending money. But the absolute guarantee is that you have to see someone, to see some chests that are coming in, right, to give you an indication that they're spending money along with power growth. Never believe. It doesn't mean that they're lying. It doesn't mean that they're not honest, right? They could be honestly telling you, yeah, I'm going to spend money. But always take it with a grain of salt, right? It doesn't matter if you know the person and they've spent money in a previous kingdom. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to spend money in this project or in this new kingdom. So if you ever see, I'll give you an example. If you ever join a project and they have these reaction rules that are set up, and I'm sure some of you know where I'm going with this, and they have a channel that says, react to roles or, come, get an assignment or something like that, and you see these reactions and it'll say, what level of spender are you? How much money do you plan on spending, right? And they'll have a bunch of different reactions and things like that, all the way from maybe a tadpole to a kraken or something. That to me is a turnoff. That to me shows a level of inexperience, and that these people have probably never led a project before. Heck, they probably have never even led an alliance before to not know these things that they should know. And it is irresponsible of someone to mislead new players and or even returning players who may not know, where they do not advise for you to not spend money before you get to Final Kingdom. If you've ever been in a project like that, or if you ever join a project that does not advocate for that, right, or at least say it somewhere, whether it's in a town hall, an announcement, which would be preferable, right, or even just talk about those things that to me is a red flag, right? You should probably get out of Dodge. Number 5, If a project is doing money giveaways or some type of incentive or financial giveaway for people to join, that's a red flag. Why do I say that? Because you are setting a precedent, even if you don't intend to, that your project will be about doing giveaways in order to get a level of contribution. An example, if you do something where you do giveaways for, hey, I've seen this happen in a couple projects. Well, they do giveaways for the amount of players that are able to be recruited by someone, right? Who's like the top recruiter, who's able to bring in the most amount of people to the server, they'll do a giveaway. Or they'll incentivize. Maybe they'll give you a role, or they'll give you some nitro, or they'll give you a shout out or something. The reason why, two reasons. One, you don't want to set a precedent, because then players may expect that to happen in the future, and when it doesn't, they'll be disappointed, right? So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Number two, you don't want to create a atmosphere where players will not contribute to volunteering to do kingdom tasks if they are not compensated in some way. So you're still shooting yourself in the foot, right? It's one of the worst things that you can do. Now, that doesn't mean that all giveaways are bad, right? I think if you are in a position where your kingdom is established and you have great activity and people are already contributing, there's no need to incentivize them. And then you do something like introduce giveaways where it's just icing on the cake, totally different story, because you've already established a culture. Number six. If management cannot answer in the exact same way, give or take, or close to the same way as each other, and I'm talking mainly leaders, but by extension officers, that is a red flag. An example would be if you were to go and ask all the leaders, all the R5s in a project, hey, how are you guys gonna manage Zone 3? How many alliances are you going to allow in? Or if you ask, how are you guys going to manage MGE? Or if you say, how are you guys going to treat, like this is a good one, how are you going to treat non-family alliances, right? In the Zone 1 provinces. And if the leaders, and as I said, by extension the officers, though I put more weight on the leaders, and they don't answer in the exact same way, if not close-ish, that's a red flag. Why? Because it shows that these people are not on the same page. It shows that the people joining a project do not believe in the project enough to take the time to read, take the time to know what they signed up for, take the time to actually have faith and be loyal to a project because they wanted to join this project over other projects, because this project appealed to them. That is a red flag. Don't join that project. Where am I? Number 7. If a project is not having weekly, and I would say at a lower level, bi-weekly meetings, though my standard is weekly, meetings for the kingdom, which is what I would consider to be town halls, or just, if you want to call it, a kingdom meeting, right, where all players can attend, where they have management meetings, which is for officers and leaders, and then they have council or leadership meetings, which is just for R5s, right? And they're not doing those things on a weekly basis. That's my standard. Bare minimum would be bi-weekly. And they don't do those at all, let alone consistently. That's a red flag. I would never join a project that doesn't do those things. Why? Because you should want to hear from your community. If you're going to build a healthy community and try to establish a culture, you have to engage with your audience. You have to care about taking the time out of your day to do these things. You have to care to want to hear from them. You have to care to want to interact with them. And you have to care to want to respond to them, to give them answers, to give them explanations, to clarify, to show that you are available and you care, right? More or less. Number 8. There are absolutely no guarantees in jumping. If anyone ever tells you otherwise, that is a red flag. And I will say a big one at that. One of the things I always tell people that join my projects, is that there's no guarantees, right? Even with me. I believe that I run the most, and I can say that confidently, the most organized, well-structured, and professional jumper projects that have ever existed in RoK. And I'll put my name on that. I'll stack my project and my name and my credibility against whomever is out there. Now, it doesn't mean that there cannot be other projects that are good or great to join. We're not saying that. Doesn't mean that there can't be projects that are equal or maybe even better than mine that I've never heard of before, right? Regardless if they do things the same way or differently. But I have faith in what I offer, and that is something that every project should believe in. If you don't believe in yourself, right? This is maybe like 8.5. If you don't believe in yourself and you cannot, I don't want to say sell it, but if you cannot garner that faith and that belief in the people that you are representing, right? Why would anyone want to join? Why would anyone want to follow you into the depths of Tartarus, right? So believe in yourself. But again, the main one here is that there's no guarantees in jumping, right? And people should be upfront about that. There are always chances that a project will restart or could restart. Right? There's no guarantee that your project is going to absolutely win over the kingdom, get your majority presence, your majority control, and you're just going to sing Kumbaya into KVK1 and then for future KVKs. The only thing that we can guarantee that is controllable is our level of preparedness that will increase our percentage for success. That is the only thing that we can control. And then we get to, I guess technically this would be number 10, right after my 8-9 combo there. Number 10. If a project does not have applications, I'm talking real applications, as in a form, right? Or you have, even if you had preset questions, like a nice formatted post of questions that you asked people that were interested in applying, right? I mean, I'll take that as bare minimum. My standard is have an application. Use a Google form. Use some kind of a form, right? You can go on Google and type in, create my own application form or make my own application form. It's not that hard. If you do not have some type of applications for your officer, leader, and department positions that people can apply for, that's a red flag. Take your shiitake mushrooms seriously. Again, handle your business with a level of professionalism and expectations for yourself and the image that you want to put out there to other people. I don't really know if there's anything more to say on that one. Let's go to number 11. Let's do 11. Having professional and formatted announcements, whether that be on Discord, Kingdom mails, Alliance mails, but for the most part in your project, we'll limit it to Discord announcements. And your announcements are just walls of text, or they're unformatted, or they just don't look tidy or well organized. To me, that's a red flag. Care about how you present yourself. Once again, I think that kind of goes without saying. Number 12. If leaders are making everything sound perfect, that's a red flag. Have realistic expectations, right? It is okay to be transparent. It is okay to be honest and have a level of candor that you display and that you talk about. So again, Don't make everything sound perfect. And if you join a project and they're making everything seem like it's kumbaya, and they never give you a hint or a level of realistic expectations, that's a red flag, right? We're not trying to Stepford Wives this piece, or yeah, gosh, I'm trying to think of something else that is, like a level of perfection reference I can make that just didn't end up working out that way. Oh, that movie Get Out. That was a great one. I just don't know what the community was called or how they ended up going about it. But yeah, that kind of does the trick too. Okay, then we're going to get to, what was I on, 12? So let's go with 13. Are leaders available? Availability is the most important trait for a leader, and also by extension an officer, but most importantly a leader, to have. If you are not available, nothing can happen. You can't do anything. You can't action things. You can't make decisions. You can't advise people. You can't solve disputes. You can't communicate with others. You can't socialize or engage. The list goes on, right? Now, this doesn't mean you have to be available 24/7 like 7-Eleven, but you should be available. And that specifically means available via text or voice chat, right? I'll give you an example. I take time out of my day to answer every single DM that I ever get. Even if I might be hours late, half a day late, heck, even a day late. But I will always respond to everyone in the most timely manner that I can. And if players want to schedule voice meetings with me, I will always make myself available. Now, I may not have all the time in the world, but if somebody wants to voice chat with me, I'll always make time to schedule that out. And I can thankfully say that anyone who's ever asked to voice chat with me, right, I have always made time for those people, right? Albeit some, people that maybe just wanted to yell at me or something like that. That's a different story, right? But let's just assume, everyone's on an even playing field, fair, good intended playing field. Let's say that. I've always made time, and I believe that's an important characteristic and trait for other leaders. So again, make time. Now that doesn't also, let me put an asterisk here, right? If they want to ask you something which you can cover in something like a town hall or a kingdom meeting, do that. If it's something that requires more of a one-on-one touch, right? That's kind of, another good characteristic for a leader is to be able to assess and figure out, hey, is it more appropriate to do this or that? And then the last thing I'll give you, which is number 14. Leaders should post, and this is probably going to blow some people's minds away. Leaders should post their resumes. Resumes meaning post your history. What kingdoms have you done projects in before? Right? Give a brief history of what happened in the kingdoms. How long have you been playing the game? What kingdoms have you played in? What have you done in those kingdoms? Right? Do you have references? Are there people that can vouch for you, for example? But most importantly, provide a resume, provide a history, a track record of what you've done, and have that out in the open in a public channel. If you have video references, if you have articles that have been posted about you or mention your name about things you've done, post those too. I cannot tell you how disappointing it is when, and again, I say this arguably as gospel. I don't know any other project that I've ever seen, and again, I haven't seen them all. I'll state that as a preface. But I've never seen another project that has posted their jumping experience resume. I do that for my projects. I've done that for a while now across 2 games that I've done, 2 Kingdom Builders I've done projects in. But that is something that every single project should do. If you're the founder of a project or even extending to leaders that are brought on, their resumes should be posted in a public channel for what they've done. So yeah, I think that might be it. What did I say, 14? Oh my God, I wasn't expecting this video to be 24, almost 25 minutes. Man, the passion is just exuding out of me tonight. With all of that being said, I think that's it. So I hope this video helps, because jumping is going to be around forever. doesn't matter if you have beginner immigration teleports or they take those away and you have to start from a brand new kingdom, right? Jumping will always be around. I could never imagine or mechanically see how they would be able to take that away, because you'd have to be able to take away the ability to create a new account in a brand new kingdom or just in any kingdom. So obviously more specifically in a brand new kingdom, because that's really the whole point. But if they don't take that away, again, jumping will never die. So again, with that in mind, I hope that this video does wonders, because it is, I think, one of the most important pieces of content that is ever going to exist around jumping when it comes to setting expectations for new players or people that are just interested in getting into jumping. And hopefully this will act as a kind of holy Bible, right? Your 14 commandments, if you will, on some of the most important things that players should look out for before they commit, not join, before they commit to a project. With that, finally, and that is it for me. As always, I hope you guys enjoy, and gals, of course. I'd love to know your thoughts below. Let me know if there's anything else you think that is also important, right? Again, this is my opinion from my experience on what I think, my 14 top things. Maybe you guys have a few other things you'd add in, maybe things you would swap out. I would still love to hear, along with what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.